Hi there.
I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too.
How are you here?
I don't know. I don't. I don't know.
Am I dreaming? Is this a hallucination?
Doesn't matter. I'm here. I'm here with you.
I miss you so much.
So what are you going to do with yourself now?
I haven't given it a moment's thought. All I've been thinking about is how difficult life is going to be without you.
You know, sometimes you thought life was difficult with me.
Sometimes I did. But I loved you. I still love you. Despite how difficult you are at times. What? What's on your mind?
Just memories. Memories of us.
I tend not to remember things.
Really?
Most of my memories are fuzzy. Don't worry, it's nothing serious. I'm fine. I'm fine. Promise.
Okay. Alright.
It's sweet how concerned you are for me, though.
I was always concerned for you. I like worrying about you.
I'm just trying to live in the present.
You know, there's nothing wrong with remembering the past, though.
But living in the present and giving your full attention to the now, it's everything.
How's that going?
It's difficult.
How so?
Try to focus on what's happening now, but I get distracted.
By what?
I don't know. Other things.
Don't you think that in trying to be present, you're actually getting in your own way?
Could be.
I mean, by trying to be present, you distract yourself from being present. And the irony is that you can't not be present. You can only ever be present. You can only ever be in the now, much like you can only ever be here. There are some things that we can't know, can't rationalize fundamentally, but that we also can't remove. Awareness, experience, energy, ego. And yet we persist in taking a trip to obtain some elusive solution to the problems we give to ourselves. But that's okay. That's okay, because the journey we take to cleanse ourselves of our affliction, our anguish, will inevitably lead us to here and now, where you always are. Yep, all roads lead to here and now.
When did you become so wise?
It's amazing what thoughts come to you when you stop chasing time. What's distracting you?
I told you. Other things.
What exactly?
I don't know. Thoughts of you, mostly.
I thought you hadn't been remembering much.
They're not memories. They're thoughts, like, I see you, but I know you're not there. That they're not real.
Can you tell the difference?
Between what?
Your thoughts and your memories.
You can, but I can't tell you how.
Well, memories must be considered as events that you've already experienced that must also be in line with your story. Otherwise, how can you remember what you haven't experienced? Whereas a thought must be unrelated to your story. It's just something that pops up in the mind.
Perhaps, but how can you have a thought that's unrelated to your story? Isn't everything that happens to you a part of your story?
Correct.
And don't memories also just pop up in your mind, so to speak?
Correct again.
It's not as if you can't tell the difference between whether or not you've lived through what comes to mind, but it's part of your life. That's why it's called your life. It's your life.
Well said. However, it does become difficult to tell the difference between a thought and a memory when it pops up in the mind if you don't remember your past. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Of course, as anyone gets older, they become more forgetful. Could be because they've got more memories to forget, or it could be because as we get older, our minds become wary. Memories get hazy, altered, distorted. They change how you see a story, how you see your life, how you see yourself, how you see yourself right now. It is interesting. By reshaping how we see our past, we can reshape how we see ourselves in the present, for better or for worse. It's fascinating. That's fascinating to me, at least. What is it?
Are you suggesting that I'm trying to forget my past?
No.
Well, you're saying it then.
No.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not.
Then what are you saying?
I'm just talking.
No one just talks. Everyone is out to get something. Even altruists care for others because they like the feeling they get from being benevolent.
Calling me a liar.
No.
Then what are you accusing me of?
Don't turn this around on me.
I'm not. I'm just showing you what it feels like to be accused of something you didn't intend. It's not great.
I'm not accusing you of being a liar.
I know. Look, there's no need to fight. Especially now. Now that we're together again. It's just...
It's just what?
You're gonna hate me for asking this.
No, you can't do that.
What do you mean? I can't give you a heads up?
You can. But for one, you can't know how I'm going to react. I don't even know how I'm going to react until you ask the question. That's the thing about the future. No one knows. And two, you can't start with the phrase, you're going to hate me for asking this, because now you have to tell me. You've set yourself up for failure.
Thanks.
Well then?
You don't expect me to ask you now after that big spiel.
Yeah, I do.
No, forget it.
Tell me I'm going to get upset at you.
You'll be upset with me if I ask it.
Again. I don't know that.
Fine.
Great!
Fine, I'll ask. It's just that, well...
Come on then, out with it.
It's just, why would someone try so hard to live in the present if not to forget the past?
You do think I'm trying to forget the past.
I told you you'd hate me.
You really think that I'm trying to forget the past? My past, our past.
I warned you. Gave you plenty of notice.
Why would you think I'm trying to forget the past? Really? Why do you think I'm trying to forget the past?
I don't know, but it's the only thing I can think of right now as to why I'd want to live completely in the present. I mean, what other reason could there be?
You persist and persist and persist!
I have to!
Why? Why do you have to?
Because you don't let me in.
What are you talking about? I don't let you in.
You don't tell me anything.
I tell you everything.
Know what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what goes on in your head. You keep everything locked away.
I don't need this.
Doing it again.
I thought you wanted to keep the peace.
Still doing it.
Anything I say will come across as avoidance to you.
Not unless you tell me what's going on with you.
Nothing is going on with me. You keep thinking that I'm some kind of problem.
You're not a problem.
Then what are you asking me?
I'm just trying to understand.
Understand what?
Why you want to forget the past?
I don't want to forget the past.
You just don't want to remember it.
We're not talking about this.
Wait, listen. I'm not trying to upset you.
How can I answer you when you can't even ask me what you want to know?
I don't know.
And besides, there are plenty of reasons why someone would want to live in the present. Maybe conversely, they're afraid of the future and they don't want to think about it. Maybe they're looking for more and trying to transcend themselves by being present. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone else. But there are other reasons.
But what's your reason? What are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
Well, I can see you packing.
That's what I'm doing.
I didn't mean to upset you.
And yet you did.
Yeah, I did. Can I at least help?
I don't need your help.
Yeah, I know, but I'm offering.
Thanks. I'm fine. I've been thinking of moving.
Moving? Moving where?
I don't know. But if I don't start moving some stuff around, even if it just means packing a few things, I won't see it through.
Why are you moving?
I don't know.
Come on, there must be a reason.
I've been thinking about what we were talking about before, and it occurred to me that no one can ever really know the reason behind any decision. There must be an infinite number of influences pushing and pulling every decision. How can I attribute any one reason behind any decision I make? I mean, how can I know what reason caused me to make this decision or that decision? I can't know. No one does. And we can speculate forever and ever, but we'll have no conclusion. I don't know. I can't know.
Yeah, I reckon that's a cop-out answer.
But that's not incorrect.
So what you're suggesting is that I shouldn't know why I asked you to marry me? Because that's what you're implying. I asked you to marry me because I love you. I love you. That was the reason. There was no other reason. I love you. That's it. We didn't even want to get married. We thought that marriage is a scam, that marriage institutionalizes love for profit. But we did it. We got married. And the fact that we didn't want to get married is a testament that I asked you to marry me. Because I love you. Not because I was afraid of being alone or because it's what society expected of me. Because and only because I love you. So why are you moving?
The reason why you asked me to marry you is clear to you. The reason why I'm moving is not clear to me. Or I'm correct. And no one can know the reason behind anything, even why you asked me to marry you.
I refuse to believe that.
You don't have to believe it. You get to decide what you believe in.
What, and you're deciding to believe that I can't know why I asked you to marry me?
I don't know what to believe in anymore. You're gone. Why should I believe in anything?
Because it's all that keeps us going.
Is it really? Or is that what you believe?
Yes, I believe that. I choose to believe that because if I don't believe it, then
What? You can say it.
then it must mean that we weren't together because we loved each other. We were just together and we don't know why. I choose not to believe that. But look, I mean, what I think and what you think, it doesn't matter. You're leaving. You're moving.
Yeah, I am.
Do you know where you're going to move to?
No, I don't know.
What are you going to do with yourself?
I'm not sure.
Can you see why I'm concerned?
I can see. But you don't have to worry. I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. I always do.
Yet I can't help it.
Your curse.
Bless him.
I can't remember the last time you took me dancing.
I can.
When was it?
My 30th.
That long ago.
Yeah, that long ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. It's been passed around by old friends, family members, being introduced to their new partners, etc., etc. But then amongst being bounced around, I spotted you in that red dress, looking even more beautiful than you normally do. At the time I didn't think it was possible, but believe me, you were. You then saw me looking at you and you smiled with that huge smile of yours. The red lipstick. My heart was taken away. Came over, took me by the hand, took me to the middle of the dance floor where everyone else was flailing their arms and legs to the music. But you took my hand and didn't follow the crowd. We danced our dance, against the beat, to our own rhythm. I can remember it now.
Why did we stop dancing?
I don't know.
So what else happened that night?
What night?
Your 30th.
Why are you asking?
Seems like an important night that I should remember, and I have no recollection of it.
Really?
None whatsoever.
Strange.
So what else happened?
Nothing super exciting. Nothing worth remembering, at least.
It's no drama of any kind? Nothing along those lines?
No?
No? That's it?
Yeah, no drama. It was a fun night. A good night. Nothing else stood out. I wish I'd taken up an instrument. Like guitar, anything really.
I didn't know you were interested in music.
I always was. Ever since I was a kid, it was something I felt like doing, but I just couldn't make it work.
Did you dream of becoming famous?
Of course. Who doesn't when they're that young? The idea of it's so enticing. Maybe that was the problem. I was more interested in the dream of becoming successful over what it took to become successful.
The dream is always a finer illusion than reality. Dreams reflect our hopes, whereas reality reflects both our hopes and our obstacles. But in saying that, you lived a successful life.
Did I?
I think so. You're happy.
I was.
It serves us to define success in that way. To define success as anything else means to put success outside of our hands.
And into someone else's hands.
Exactly. And why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. Why do we do that to ourselves?
I think we fall for our dreams much like how we lust for someone. Trick ourselves into thinking that this person will fulfill all of our wishes, that all of our problems will be solved, that we'll live blissfully and happily and ever. And while this illusion never lasts, we prefer it because reality comes with problems, obstacles, obligations, responsibilities. We prefer to live in denial than to be honest with ourselves. That's why we make success about fame and fortune, or something else that we believe to be outside of ourselves. Why we put our success in someone else's hands, rather than making it about fulfillment and happiness.
It's pretty sad, really. We spend our lives lying to ourselves, chasing little pockets of satisfaction. Whereas if we were honest with ourselves, we'd feel more fulfilled. You know what, though? I like to think it was dreams that stopped me from playing music. Really, it was because I wasn't any good.
I'm sure that's not true.
No. No, it was terrible. When I started, I tried to play something for my family with my dad's guitar. They all cringed when they heard me play. I still see their faces. It was horrible. And they even cut me off not even halfway through. It was that bad.
And you stopped playing ever since.
Wasn't any good.
How long had you been practicing?
Not long.
How could you expect to be any good when you hadn't been playing for long?
I don't know, but that's what makes me think that I was obviously more interested in fame and fortune than in music. Because if I was more interested in music, I would have persevered. I didn't though, I just gave up. However, as I grew up from time to time, I did consider picking it up and playing again.
But you never did.
Never did.
Why?
I don't know, but I think about it a lot.
What comes to mind?
How someone can just play, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
Well, the time I played for my family, how it came about was my aunt was asking me about my interests, hobbies, that sort of thing. And of course my mum interrupted, saying that I like music. My aunt then suggested that I play something for everyone. I was a shy kid. I did not want to do that. Mum thought it was a good idea though, so grabbed Dad's guitar, made an announcement, threw the guitar into my lap and asked me to play. Everyone else was watching. Didn't though, I just froze. Never played again.
How terrible to be put on the spot like that.
Yeah, I was pretty upset at the time, but I got over it.
By telling yourself that you weren't any good.
Yes. But I wasn't any good because I couldn't just play. I couldn't just play when I was asked to. I mean, that's what I keep thinking about. How does one just play?
I still don't follow.
Well, what I mean is how to play without deciding to play, if that makes sense. To not get caught up in the decisions that need to be made to play the instrument and just play.
To not get caught up in how to play and just play.
That's it. To not get caught up in how to play and just play. How does one do that? I mean, you'd have to be incredibly skilled at your craft. You'd have to know your instrument, all the musical notes, how to arrange them to achieve the perfect tune. And then after all that, you'd have to practice and practice and practice to hone your craft. So, in that rare occasion when someone just asks you to just play, you can just play.
Or maybe you just play. Maybe you forget about how it's supposed to be done and you just play.
But how can I just play and manage to stay in tune?
What does that even mean? To stay in tune to whom? Who decides what note's in tune and what note isn't?
The listener does.
And what do they know about music?
Well, if they're an experienced musician, quite a lot, I imagine.
You can't know music. Music isn't knowable. It can't be rationalized. It's just played. Just play.
But how? How does one just play?
Maybe to just play isn't the right way to phrase it.
Okay, then what is the best way to phrase it?
I don't know. But to say to just play implies that there is a way that can be learned, repeated, that can be defined, rationalized, perfected. And to perfect it this way seems to be what's hindering you from actually playing. What it implies is to play, you need to let go of the idea that there is a way to playing. Ironically, music does this. Music isn't trying to get anywhere. Music isn't wrestling with itself to arrive at some destination. It's just music.
Be music.
It's not about knowing how to do it. It's about surrendering to it.
Surrender to it. Yeah, let go of your compulsions.
Fall into the music, the performance, whatever it is you're surrendering to.
I like that. Fall into the act.
An act of faith.
Yeah, it's too late now though, my time's past. I really wish I realised it at the time, but I guess that's life. You know, you're born not knowing anything. And then as you move forward, you're expected to learn all of these life lessons, only to in the end let go of everything you've learned. Honestly though, I didn't stop playing music because I couldn't just play.
Then why did you stop?
It's obvious, isn't it? Like every other unfulfilled dream, it was fear that held me back. Fear of what others thought of me, that it wasn't any good. I don't know what I was afraid of exactly, but it was definitely fear that held me back. I mean, it must have been. After everything I've been through, all that I've learned, fear isn't the only obstacle standing in our way. I mean, all other obstacles are just cousins of fear. Back then I didn't want to admit it to myself, but that's why I didn't pursue music. That's why I quit music. I was afraid, scared, and in denial about it. I don't even know what I was scared of. Can I know what I was scared of? I don't know. Can I know that? I don't know. You can question anything which would imply that everything can be refuted. Arguments would go on infinitely if we weren't so exhausted by them. I mean, how can you know anything if everything can be refuted? How can I know what I was scared of? I don't know. I was just afraid. And the worst part about it all is that after everything we go through, in the end, we have to let go of it all. Our fears, our hopes, our dreams, everything. Just gone. And it means that there was no reason to be afraid of anything. Why should we be scared? I mean, if you have to just let go of it all in the end, why be afraid? Fear is unnecessary.
And yet we're still scared. Is that wrong? Is that so bad?
Who knows? So I was thinking about before, you know how I said there are certain things that we can't know, but that we also can't dispose of them?
Why?
I don't know. Because I like to think. That's why anyone does anything, right?
Is that it, though? Do those who complain because they like it?
I don't know, maybe they do.
Why would somebody like to complain? It's not just they get anything out of it.
But maybe they believe they are getting something. I mean, maybe by complaining they feel as if they're getting something off their chest. Or maybe by complaining they feel like they're being heard. Or some other reason. Must be different for different people.
Does any of that really help, though? Does getting things off your chest really help anyone? Does feeling heard really help anyone? Or it just seems like excuses for complaining?
Don't actually know. If they believe it helps them, it must do for them.
Even if they're deluding themselves into believing that it's helping them?
Don't we all delude ourselves in some shape or form?
I don't know about that.
Those who complain must believe they're getting something out of it. That's why they like complaining. Otherwise, why would they complain?
But mightn't we have mentioned an alternative reason for why someone might complain? Maybe they're not complaining because they like it, they're complaining because they might get something from it. Maybe the reason they're complaining, their focus is not on the enjoyment that might come from it, but because they believe that they're going to get something from complaining. The enjoyment that might come from complaining is just a happenstance, it's not the main goal.
They're not complaining to be happy, but rather they believe that by complaining, they believe they'll get something that will help them to be happy.
Happiness is not their main reason for complaining.
But conversely, happiness might be their reason for complaining. Some might complain and they like it. I mean, it's like when I think and I like it.
Do you think and you like it, or do you think for enjoyment?
Is there a difference?
If you're thinking for enjoyment, then that would imply that you're thinking to obtain enjoyment. You perceive enjoyment as a thing that's separate to you, as something that needs to be achieved. Whereas if you think and you like it, that would imply that your happiness is not predicated on thinking. It just happens when you think.
When you're thinking for enjoyment, you're just devaluing yourself.
Exactly.
But I wasn't thinking for enjoyment. At least I feel like I wasn't thinking for enjoyment. I was just interested in what I was thinking about.
About how there are certain things we can't know, but also can't dispose of.
Yeah. You know, I was wondering if freedom resides under this umbrella.
Freedom, huh? You think it does?
Yeah, I don't know. What is freedom?
Well, if it's one of those things, then we can't know what freedom is.
Which makes this difficult.
But if it's not one of those things, maybe we can know what freedom is.
Yeah, that's the case. So what is freedom? What does it mean to be free?
Depends how you define it.
And how would you define it?
I don't know. Being able to do whatever you want when you want seems like a decent definition.
Yeah, but is that freedom? Suppose you're in that position, actually being able to do what you want whenever you want to. Wouldn't you be endowed with infinite possibilities, and wouldn't it bring about an overwhelming degree of anxiety? You'd be mulling over every decision you make, trying to figure out what to do, living in hesitation. You'd be filled with anguish. How excruciating that would be. How is that freedom?
With every choice you make, there is never an infinite number of possibilities. There's only either or. There's only the choice between doing what you intend to do or not doing what you intend to do.
But deciding to do something else.
We're only ever faced with two options with any choice we make.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it, but do you think most people see it that way?
I don't know. You have to ask most people.
You would. But if you only ever have two options with every single choice you face, aren't there many ways we can decide to not do what we intend to do?
I guess.
So when it comes down to it, even if there are only two options with every decision you face, and you're able to do what you want whenever you want to, there are still infinite ways in which you can not do what you intend to do. If this is the case, then you're still faced with infinite possibilities. And if you're faced with that, and the anxiety that comes with it, again, how is that freedom?
Then freedom isn't about the number of possibilities you have.
No.
But we always have possibilities. It's not to say that anything's possible, but we always have possibilities.
You always have potential.
That's a better way to put it.
Yet another thing we can't actually know but also can't do away with.
Potential.
Yes.
Unlike freedom.
Well, I don't know. I mean, freedom's not about the number of infinite possibilities we have, so what is freedom?
I can tell you what freedom isn't.
What is freedom not about?
Freedom's not about being free of context.
Why is that?
Because it's impossible. To be free of context is in itself a context. It's a self-contradiction. You can't be free of context. You're always in a context. And that can't be what freedom is.
Or freedom is that, but we can never be free.
It's a sad thought.
What? That you can never be free?
Yeah.
Why is that sad?
Because we strive for freedom and it can never happen.
But by that standard, isn't it just as depressing to think that we all strive for freedom and can't know what it is?
Yeah, it is.
Why do we want to be free?
Because we don't want to feel trapped.
And yet we can't escape context.
We're trapped, all of us.
We're in boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes, on indefinitely.
But maybe that's not what freedom is.
Then what is freedom?
If we have to define freedom, then that would imply that we can't know what freedom is. I mean, how can we know what something is if we have to define it?
We can't.
Whatever definition that we give to a thing is simply a definition that we give to it. Whatever meaning that we give to a thing is simply a meaning that we give to it. Whatever meaning that we give to a thing, it's not what the thing is, and yet we can't not give a thing meaning. To not give a thing meaning implies that we are giving that thing no meaning. We are defining that thing as a thing without meaning. It's a paradox. We can't not give a thing meaning.
Since we can't escape this dynamic, where we define all things, where we give all things meaning, where we can't know what a thing is, well, what a thing is without giving it meaning, we can't know what anything is ultimately. We can't know what freedom is. But are we free?
Hard to tell when you can't know what freedom is. We have choice, and we have potential.
That's not freedom though, that's choice and potential.
But with choice, with potential, don't we have freedom?
Say that.
Maybe freedom is something that we can't know but also can't dispense of, like choice and potential.
Still don't know.
Me neither.
What can we know?
Dunno.
We can't know anything, but we also can't help but give things meaning. It's like with dreams. We can't know what our dreams mean.
But we also can't help but give our dreams meaning.
What do you dream about?
Random things.
Like what?
Not sure. Tend to forget them.
Right.
What do you dream about?
Nothing in particular. I tend to hear my dreams.
You hear tunes.
Yeah,
You were destined to be a musician then.
maybe. We'll never know though.
Unfortunately.
I always hear when I dream. How can you not? That's something I never understood.
What, silence?
Yeah, how can there be silence? Silence suggests there's no sound, but you can't hear no sound. The absence of sound implies that there's no sound there to be heard. Silence can't be experienced. You can only ever hear sound, no matter how quiet it is. Listen. Listen carefully. You can only ever hear sound. Have you figured out what you're going to do?
I still don't know.
You've been thinking about it a lot.
I have, but I can't seem to arrive at a decision.
That's typical of most people. We think over all our possibilities to come up with what we believe will be the best outcome, even though we know that we can't know the future. In the end, we always make our decisions on a whim.
Is that what you recommend? To make a decision on a whim?
No, I don't recommend anything. But in the end, you'll do that. We all will.
Even those who know what the best outcome will be?
But how can you know that any decision will lead to the best outcome? You might trick yourself into believing that a particular decision will lead to the best outcome, but you can't know that it will.
Even if it's something obvious, like deciding to exercise.
But what if exercising leads to injury?
Then you scale back.
And if it's a long-term injury?
Then you do what it takes to recover and not push as hard the next time round.
And if you can't recover?
There's always a way. Every problem implies a solution. That's how life is.
Okay. But all that still doesn't take away from the idea that getting injured was not the best result that could have come out of exercising.
But what if you don't get injured? What if your health improves as a result of exercise?
What if by exercising you lose time to read or develop other skills or something else?
Then you make time for those things.
But what if by doing all those things you lose time with your family? What if your family starts to resent you for not being around?
Then you spend time with your family. I don't see what's so hard about this.
Don't you see that sacrifices have to be made? We can't all do everything. Time is limited. That's how life is.
Then you should do what you feel is best for you. So long as you respect others and you don't bring harm to others, then you should do what you feel like doing.
I agree with that. I agree that we should do what feels good to us with respect to others. But it still doesn't detract from the realization that we can't know what decision will give us the best outcome. You can imagine, envision which decision will give us the best outcome, but we can't know. We can never know the future. It's always ahead of us. This is why we can never achieve a perfect world. A world that is right, completely just. We make decisions based on achieving this perfect, idealistic state. But we can't know which decisions will lead to the best outcome. So we keep making these decisions, trying desperately to reach this world, this better world, where everything is perfect. But we will never get there.
There's also the question of what is perfect? What does perfect mean in a world where there is only good? How can that happen? How can you distinguish what is good without bad? You can't recognize what is good without bad, just as you can't recognize what is bad without good. You must have both good and bad if you're going to have good. Or you have neither. Either way, there can't be a world that's so good. There can't be a perfect world. It can't even be conceived of. And how can we achieve a perfect world that we can't even conceive?
I mean, there's also the question of perfect to who? Who decides what this perfect world is? And even if we're able to come up with a consensus on who should decide what this perfect world is, then how do we know they're the right candidate? They can't know which decisions will lead to the best outcome. I mean, just as the rest of us can't know that, so why should they be the one to decide what's best for the world? Since the idea of the perfect world is relative and can't be known, then can we even know what's better? It implies that we can't.
But isn't it better to be kind to others, for instance?
Is it better if you end up being hurt? I agree that kindness is a good thing, but what if being kind to others hurts you?
What if being kind to others doesn't hurt you?
Can you know that you won't get hurt?
No, you can't know that. You can't know the future.
Can't know the consequences of our actions.
Not ever.
We also have to consider that with every decision we make comes an equal number of positive and negative consequences. I mean, even if it's not obvious upon first glance because of our biases. We never experience anything for what it is. We experience the way in which we experience it. Our biases get in the way of experiencing things for what they are. A positive always implies a negative and vice versa. One can't exist without the other. Every decision must come with the same number of positive consequences as negative consequences. It's either that, or we can't know what a gain is and what a setback is. Because, again, to whom? Who decides? We can't actually know what these things are, so how can we make quote-unquote progress if we can't know what a gain is and what a setback is? And even if we are to somehow know what these things are, how can you make progress if the outcome of every decision you make comes just as many positive results as negative results? Every problem you solve causes more problems, making progress unattainable. You can't improve. Life can't improve. Never. Life is insoluble. The other dilemma with all this is that to achieve the best outcome, the perfect world, it implies a finality, an end point that is the ultimate goal. And if we were just so happen to reach that point somehow, some way, what do we do? Do we just stop? We can't not act. I mean, even deciding not to decide is still an act. You can't not act, so we can't just stop. We'd have to go on. That's how life is. It's a never-ending unified process, a happening. Life lives on. And even if we were to reach this perfect world, just say, and we just stop, wouldn't we eventually be bored with the world? And ironically, wouldn't the world then cease to be perfect? You see, there's no win here. What this all highlights is that the question we should be asking ourselves is not how do we achieve the best outcome. No, it's not how do we become better or how do we improve, how do we solve our problems, nor how do we achieve a better world or how do we achieve a perfect world where everything is all good, where there is no bad, no problems, where everything is just. But why do you want to be better? Why do you want to improve? Why do you want to solve all your problems? Why do you want to achieve the best outcome? Why do you want a better world? Why do you want a perfect world? Pose this question to those who want a perfect world, especially when it can't be achieved, because doing this will shine a light on their burdens, their afflictions, their anguish, and indicate to them what has to be altered so that they can be liberated of their constraints. You know what? Even after saying all that, it's still hard to accept that this world can't be better. There will always be bad. Especially when you can't not act. As I said, you can only act. You can't cheat the game by not acting because you have no option but to act. You have to participate, and yet you can't make life better. You can't improve anything, so what do? It makes life hard to live. It makes it hard to enjoy life. It makes it hard to do anything. To be kind to your friends, to your family, to start a family.
How come we never had children?
I don't know.
I remember something.
Oh, what do you remember?
I remember at your 30th birthday party.
Well, on my 30th birthday.
I remember you talking to someone else.
Okay,
Another woman.
right.
You two look very intimate.
Intimate.
Intimate might not be the right word, but you looked close. Like there was something between you two.
Did you think I had an affair? I would never have. I didn't have one.
How can I know that?
Because I love you.
But you could have loved someone else. Love isn't reserved for one person.
I only loved you.
You still could have been with someone else when we were together. You still could have done things behind my back.
Is this why you were so controlling?
What?
Why you were so strict?
Did you think I was strict and controlling?
Well, let's face it, you weren't exactly easy. Come on, you must have known that. I mean, for one, you never apologized ever, even when it was blatantly your fault. You never apologized. Not to me, not to anyone.
You did have an affair then?
No, I didn't.
Of course you did.
No, I...
How could you not have? If you thought of me like this, if this was how you saw me, then how could you even love me?
Hey, I love you. Okay? I love you. Just because you were controlling, strict, doesn't mean I didn't love you.
But then why don't we have children?
I don't know.
It must have been because you didn't love me.
Look, would you just lay off it? We didn't not have children because we didn't love each other. We loved each other. We did. And I didn't have an affair. I didn't even think of it. Not once. There was only you. I couldn't tell you why we didn't have children. It was just one of those things.
No, there must have been a reason for it.
No, it really just didn't happen because it didn't happen.
No, we would have at least talked about it at least once, but we never did.
No, we didn't.
Why? Why didn't we? It's starting to come back to me now, all of it, how shallow we were to each other, how distant we were.
We weren't shallow or distant.
We were. We would Go for days without talking to each other.
So we didn't talk for a few days. Big deal.
That's not what I mean. I mean, how were we never honest, never upfront with each other? Our relationship was cold.
Okay. Maybe we weren't as open as we could have been.
I'm not wrong.
No, you're not. But we weren't shallow or distant. We weren't that bad. We still had fun. We were happy together.
But why were we not open with each other?
I don't know why.
It must have been because of the other woman on your 30th.
Okay, now you're just trying to convince yourself that something happened.
Something must have happened.
I didn't cheat on you! I didn't cheat on you! Please hear me! Listen to your heart! You'll realise that I was faithful!
I've never seen you beg before.
Then you must realise how important you are to me.
Why were we not open with each other?
I don't know. Does it even matter?
Yes, it does.
Why?
Because how can we love each other on false grounds?
Did we need any reason to love each other?
Yes.
Did we? Because how could it have been love if there was a reason? Love doesn't need a reason to be, it's just love.
But love is baseless without a reason.
But love is supposed to be baseless. It's not supposed to have support. It's an act of faith, and no act of faith can happen with any support.
But if there was no reason for loving you, then I could have just fallen in love with anyone.
Yeah, you could have.
So there's no reason why we came together. There's no reason why we stayed together. It just happened.
Yeah, it did.
Is any of what you just said true? Or do you just believe that?
I don't know.
Why were we not open with each other? I don't understand.
I don't understand it either, but do two people really have to be open with each other, love each other? Do they still have to share everything with each other if they already trust each other?
They still should.
They should. But they don't have to. Love comes first. Everything else is secondary.
I don't know if I can live with myself if I don't know why we weren't open with each other.
Why's that?
Because it hurts not knowing.
Might hurt to know.
It might. But not knowing is unbearable. Why do you think we didn't have kids?
Don't know.
Any ideas?
No idea.
Don't you know? Or is that just your answer?
I don't know.
I feel like you do know. I feel like you have an idea of why and you're just not telling me.
I don't have any idea. Really?
Really?
Yes!
Do you think it's me?
No!
Do you think that I'm the reason for why we didn't have children?
No, I don't think that.
Do you think it was? Do you think it was you?
No.
Do you blame yourself?
No, I don't.
Something must have stopped us. We couldn't have just not had children for no reason. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I don't know why we didn't have children.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I don't know.
You must know.
I don't know. I don't...
Ah! Tell me what you think. Just tell me. Don't close yourself. We cannot be like this. Tell me.
You're going to hate my answer.
Don't give me that.
I'm just warning you.
Just tell me.
Right. The thought that comes to mind is that your father might have gotten in the way.
My father.
You have to admit that he was demanding.
You're blaming my father. What has he got to do with us?
Because he had a huge impact on you.
Of course he did. He was my father.
I mean, not in the most positive way. You did become a bit testing.
Testing?
Yeah, a little difficult to be with at times because, well, especially after he passed away.
You think I turned out like him, don't you? You think I'm him? Yeah. No. You can't blame him. He might not have been the best dad in the world. He might have been demanding, but you can't blame him. You can't. I mean, can you really say that my father was the reason why we never had children? If you blame him, then why wouldn't he be any different and blame his father for making him so insistent and so cynical and then and then my grandfather will blame his father, and then he blamed his father, and he blamed his father, and we'll just keep going through the family line until we reach our greatest ancestors who would blame an apple or something for all their problems. It doesn't work. We can't blame our fathers for our problems. We have to...
We have to what?
I have to. I'm the reason why we didn't have children. It wasn't my father that was the problem. It was me. It was me. I became him. I became this cold, callous, shallow person, and you suffered for it.
No. No, don't think like that. It's not your fault.
But you said it. I wasn't easy. I must have had some influence over why we never had children. It must have been me.
If that's the case, then I must have also had influence too.
No. It was me. It was all my doing.
You can't do this to yourself.
Why not?
Because you're hurting yourself.
Maybe I deserve it. Maybe I deserve the pain.
No, don't. Please don't.
I deserve it. I deserve this pain.
No.
Yes, I do.
But no, it doesn't make sense.
It does. It was me. It was me. I'm the one to blame here.
But why not me too?
It was all me.
Why only you?
Because I was afraid. I was afraid of losing you. That's why I was so controlling. That's why I was so demanding. That's why I became my father. That's what I thought love was.
That's why you tried to forget your past. So you could distance yourself from your father. I can relate to this, believe it or not. I understand where you're coming from. Most of us, we suppress our darkness, right? We deny our shadows. We delude ourselves into believing that we're all good, that we're just, but really we're not. We're not at all. But we do this to protect ourselves. We trick ourselves into believing that we're right so we can preserve our beliefs. And by association, preserve our identity. Because who are we without our beliefs? Without our thoughts? See, this denial is for self-preservation, for preserving our idea of who we are. But by doing this, because of this way of thinking, we blame others who don't agree with our line of thinking for our pain and suffering instead of taking responsibility. We can't accept that we're little rascals, that we're wicked. And it is due to this that the world is in peril, that we're gradually destroying ourselves and the real reason why we can never achieve a perfect world. Hell is founded on good deeds. I thought you were trying to forget your past because you wanted to forget me, because you didn't really love me.
No. No, I wouldn't dare.
I realise that now. That idea was a reflection of my affliction, my insecurities, my fear that you didn't really love me. I can admit that now. I can admit that I was causing my own heartache.
But can you know that? You've been bringing up how there are certain things that we can't know but also can't get rid of. Maybe we can't know anything. We can only know in words, and we created words. We created words to help us to identify and communicate what's happening, and in some sense for self-preservation, for survival, by helping us to identify what is safe, what is a threat, who's being threatened, and to enable us to create a system that can protect us from danger and potential danger. But words aren't real. You can't grab onto an idea, you can't taste a thought, you can't see a belief. You know, what this implies is that knowledge is fictitious. We just play into knowledge as if it's real, but it's not. And this hurts us. This is what really hurts us. Believing the sham is real. Because it makes us believe we're separate and forms potential for conflict and suffering. And this is why we harm each other. because we delude ourselves with words. It's not even that it's an illusion, because that's not real too. It's simply not real. It's not true. Can we know anything? Can we really know anything? No, we can't. Not really.
But we can realize what is fake.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We can't know anything. We can only realize what is fake. We can't know what life is. We can only realize what's fake. We can't know what truth is. We can only realize what's fake. We can't know what beauty is. We can only realize what's fake. And we can't know what love is. We can't know whether or not we loved each other.
I guess not. But we can realize what is fake. We can realize what is fake.